right before your surgery, your doctor told you to go change into your gown, and you got one last clip off, right?
Yeah.
There it is right here. What's up, guys? Today's guest is a tricker world-renowned for his insane jumping abilities, and he's the head of the Sapling Gang. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Aspen Edelen.
Hello.
What's up, man? How are you?
Vibing. We're having a good time out here.
Good answer, man. And for those that don't recognize his last name, you may recognize him by his Instagram handle, which is what I know him as, which is Aspen Tree. Mm-hmm. Where does the tree come from? That's something I've always wanted to know since it's so inherently tied into the Sapling Gang and everything.
Yeah, so Aspen Tree, I just came up with that because it's a real tree and my name is Aspen, so I was like, why not? And then all of a sudden I created this thing, Sapling Gang. I didn't know what else to really call it, but I came up with it. I was like, oh, this is perfect. It ties in perfectly to my name and everything, and it just means in a constant state of growth where we just never reach our peak potential. That's what we're going for. Dope. To always just improve constantly. That's what I go for.
That's crazy. So how did you even find out it was an actual tree? Did you like look it up, or did someone tell you? Like,
in Montana, it's pretty local. Like you can see them anywhere pretty much. And yeah, so they're just really well known where I live. And yeah, like here, they probably wouldn't survive.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're the land of palm trees out here. But.
Yeah, here it's like probably too hot for them to live.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. I really want to know what an aspen tree looks like now. Yo, Connor, can you look one of those up while we're talking? I just want to see what it looks like. Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
and so like right now, you just kind of alluded to it, but you're basically originally from Montana, but you're out here right now. How long are you out here for, and what are you doing? You just training, or what are you making the most of this trip?
Yeah, so it's kind of random, but my friend and I, Cameron Eckberg, he hit me up. He's like, hey, do you want to like road trip with me down to California? And you want to just fly to Oregon? We road trip. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like literally less than 2 weeks of time to basically get it all set up. I was just like, yeah, sure. I was at work when I got the call. I'm like, honestly, I could use something like this. So we just came down here, and I've been training and stuff like that, just having fun.
Dude, that's awesome. And how long will you be here in its entirety? Like,
so we came here the 20th, and I'm gonna leave on the 4th of July.
So like 2 weeks, solid 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's dope, man. And have you ever been to LA to train before? I think I've seen some old videos where you've been in like Venice before and stuff.
Like I came 2 years ago for an event called Gravalanche.
Of course.
Yeah, and then I haven't been back since, so this is my first time back in a long time. Second time seeing the ocean, so that's pretty sick.
Second time ever seeing the ocean?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
We definitely take that for granted in LA. That's why we pay so much in rent, and then I always find myself realizing I never go as much as I should. You know? It's crazy.
Yeah, I was having so much fun. We went to Laguna Beach, and we played in the ocean. I feel like a child every time I'm in there, which is awesome.
It's crazy
feeling.
It's like a giant swimming pool that can knock you over. Like
literally, like I can't believe it's overwhelmingly powerful.
It's crazy. Yeah. I've been caught in some like wild waves before, where you're like, dude, Mother Nature always is going to win. Like,
it's always crazy, man. Like I was out there and I was like, oh, I can easily see how this can be dangerous. Like,
yeah,
and easily get pulled in. So
100, man. Well, that's crazy. So like, I got to ask you, cause you're one of the few people I've talked to that's actually from out of town while we've been doing these quarantine JAMcasts.
Yeah.
What was it like flying during this time? Like, was your plane packed? Was it pretty empty?
So it was kind of weird, honestly. With the plane situation, they basically tried to social distance us in the plane. So like, I didn't have any people sitting next to me.
Wow.
And it was kind of like a checkerboard kind of, how it's like one person and then diagonal from you there's another person. They tried to keep it that way for my flights at least. Some of the other people that have been flying in here or anywhere recently, they've been telling me that their planes have been like completely packed. So I guess it just depends, but they try to social distance people on the plane.
Okay, yeah, I've kind of been seeing both too. One where like people have their own row to themselves, and I've seen some where literally people are packed shoulder to shoulder because they've canceled so many flights. They only have a few.
Exactly.
I'm like, this makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
No sense. today they just put out a rule. I don't know if you heard about it. I mean, you probably don't watch the news in LA because you're visiting, but they just announced today that all gyms in LA, you now have to wear a face mask while you're working out and gloves.
Oh, really? And gloves.
And gloves. And I'm
what? Okay, yesterday they announced that they had face masks. I didn't know about the glove thing though yet. Yeah, because last night I was at Tempest and we were training and we had to wear face masks. And I was like, what? We weren't wearing face masks like literally a few days ago.
Yeah. How was that? Was it tough, like training with it? Because I've tried to train. I did a session with Connor where I was tricking with it on for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like sweating a lot, but I was still like decently okay.
Yeah, I felt not too bad. I think that it only really affects me truly as if I'm doing like heavily, like a lot of breathing in my combo, like,
of course,
like just feel like I ran a mile or something. If that ever happened, I would probably feel like way worse, but I didn't ever happen because I was mostly just focusing on single tricks as I normally do, and then I was playing around with some rolling and stuff around the gym like Pasha does. So.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And so are you born and raised in Montana?
I was born in Arizona.
Okay.
And I moved to Montana like 4 years after I was born. And then I've been staying there ever since. And I low-key don't like it, but that's why I'm going to make a move probably within a year, hopefully, or after a year. But no more than 2 years. Hopefully get out of Montana and experience the world. I want to move here. So.
Eventually to LA. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy, man. And so it always boggles my mind when I meet people like yourself that have like accumulated this like really cool following of people that, you know, obviously know you for your acrobatics and your tricks and stuff like that. I was personally born and raised like 20 minutes from here. So
really?
like I was born like, for lack of a better term, like in the mecca of movement, you know, like we have some of the top dance studios. We've always had some of the best martial arts schools. And so for me, it's like, oh yeah, I pretty much had no excuse not to get into the stuff. So my question for you is like, how did you get into tricking and tumbling and acrobatics being in Montana? Is it like very widespread, or like did just you and a few friends like catch on to it?
So it's kind of weird for me, but I've always kind of wanted to do something like that in a sense, and I tried to really branch into that like younger, and I was doing like tricks on the trampoline and stuff, and I was like really wanting to take it further and stuff, but I was like kind of embarrassed, like because all my friends were like playing basketball and baseball and stuff like that, football, and I kind of just saw what I was doing as gymnastics, and I was like, oh, gymnastics is for girls. I have only seen like mostly girl competitors,
Totally.
you know, on the Olympics and stuff. And I was just like thinking to myself, like, nah, I think that this is like a girl sport, you know, like I was embarrassed to do it. And then later on, I was like, I saw a kid at my school do a front flip, and I was kind of, at this point, I was like kind of fed up in high school. Like I wanted to prove myself that I had potential, like that other people didn't have, you know what I mean? I was trying to like show like who I can be like without other people's influence. And I was kind of discovering myself in a way. And I mean, it was really embarrassing throughout all my years of school where, you know, I was pretending to be somebody else constantly, and I wasn't happy and it sucked. And then I was like, okay, this is my chance to try something, like, and maybe I will enjoy it, and maybe it will change my life. Who knows? And then I did a front flip, and I was like, oh, that was easy. And I was like, I'm going to do a backflip now. And I learned a backflip, and I just remember I was like, oh, I'm probably the only one in the school that can do this. And I was like, yeah, I'm so legendary for this. And then I kept training, and then people started to catch on more. And in my city, like Bozeman, Belgrade area, that's like where it is. It's like really small towny, and I kind of help birth the community there.
Dope.
There was a few people who were already moving, and I met up with them eventually, and we just trained constantly with each other. But there was only one parkour free running gym in the entire state at the time, and it was Unparalleled Movement.
Yes, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately they did not survive Corona, so that place is like shut down. I never got a chance to go there, unfortunately, but
damn.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. That's a huge part of the community that kind of lost, like,
yeah, that's like your needed. Gym in your state. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone there, but I know the community is going to stay strong for sure. And that's kind of just how it worked for me too, because I learned all my stuff like on trampoline first, and then I went to grass. Like I didn't have a spring floor or anything like that. So that's like how I learned all my stuff.
Dude, that's really cool. What I find interesting about your story is that like what you said is something that not a lot of people really ever talk about. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's because it didn't happen to them or they just don't feel comfortable talking about it. But I had a really similar experience too. Like with you growing up, I was like a martial artist my whole life. Mm-hmm. And because it was something that my family did, I kind of didn't necessarily always put it out there. I kind of was like you. I was like trying to like be somebody else. And like I started like putting my efforts more into like track and other sports just to kind of like be a front. Mm-hmm. But then like what was funny is like once kids found out that I was really good at martial arts, they were like, that's the coolest shit ever. And I'm like, why didn't I just, ride with this? And then finally in high school is when I got into tricking and acrobatics. And like you said, I was like, oh, maybe I'm like the only guy that could flip at school. And I'd be like flipping at the dances and everyone's like, do a flip. Yeah. So like how old were you when you discovered that? Because that's like a pretty mature thing to realize that you were kind of living under like a false identity.
Yeah. So I started doing like, I learned my first backflip right after I turned 17, basically.
No way, that late.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so I was kind of like in a bad spot at the time. And, I was dealing with a lot of family issues. And I just remembered like, I had to take care of like my siblings and stuff like that. Like I basically became a parent in a way, like at a young age. Like 6th grade was when it all began for me. It had been long before that, like where I was dealing with stuff too. But I feel like that was like really the pinnacle of when I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I was terrified, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so throughout that entire time, I had a lot to learn and a lot that I was continuing to learn, and life kind of brought me to a choice where I was like, I can either learn from this or I can just give up. And basically, I didn't want to give up, and I was just kind of fed up with everything. And then on top of all that pressure happening, like all the way through past high school, I was deciding that I needed to find something for myself because I was in a constant state of depression and anxiety, and I didn't know what was going to come next. So I decided that I needed to try something, and I did that backflip, and for some reason, like that connected with me more than anything else in my entire life.
Wow.
And I was like, this is something I can get addicted to that's like going to be beneficial for like my life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this can teach me stuff. And I've learned so much from tricking, like life lessons that you could not possibly learn from anything else, you know what I mean? And like you can connect those parallels to other passions, but as long as you just continue to try stuff and then you find something you really enjoy and keep doing it, I feel like that's like where the learning really happens about who you are truly, like inside of you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So. Dude, I think the coolest thing about these JAMCasts is like having the opportunity to talk to people like yourself who, whenever I see you, I just relate it to like your crazy flips and stuff like that, but we don't know like the story and the journey that brought you to this point. And like, I think your journey is really, really, really important for kids to hear, because I feel like mental health is something that's often too far overlooked, especially within kids. Completely. A lot of people just associate like adults have problems so they can have mental problems, but it's like a lot of kids deal with depression all the time. And you saying this may just inspire one kid to realize like, oh, I'm not alone. Like maybe putting my efforts more into flipping and stuff is a great way out of this rut. So definitely. I think that's cool, man. So when you were doing that first front flip and back flip, how did you learn? Did you have a spotter? Were you just hucking it to the ground? Did you use like mats? Like when I first learned my front flip, and I've told this story maybe once before, is we used to lay punching, like, like punching bags we have at Jam. Yeah. We used to lay those on the ground in a line, and we would run and split our feet and try to front flip and land with our feet around it.
Okay.
We were just thinking that if we came up short, we'd land with our backs on a punching bag, you know what I'm saying? So like for years I had this horrible technique where I constantly just had my legs spread super wide because we were flipping over punching bags. So like how did you learn your first flips?
For a front flip, I literally was like, I just didn't know what to do, but I did know what to do. Like I already did it on trampoline a bunch at this point, and I was like, yeah, I feel like it would be super easy because I saw this kid just do it at school, you know, on grass, and it was like his first one, and I was like, I'm gonna do that, and I did it, and it was easy, you know what I mean? Like it just clicked right away with me, and I was like, okay, like that wasn't like the connection though with me because I feel like I believed myself that I could do it like easily. And so I did it and it was just like, oh, that felt like a walk in the park. It wasn't the connection though. Like when I learned the backflip, I actually had to think about it. You know what I mean?
Really?
And yeah, so I learned how to backflip on trampoline by basically like cartwheeling over my shoulder and stuff. And then eventually getting to a back handspring and then just taking my hands away.
Crazy.
So I was like, what if I did that on ground? And I learned the same exact way on ground. And then once I got it, it took me like 10 minutes. But once I landed it, I was like my brain just dopamine rush, like crazy explosion of happiness. And I was just like, yes, this is awesome. Cause I remember my family was like going to leave and do something like, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to learn a backflip. And my dad was just like shaking my head at me like, dude,
don't get hurt.
he honestly didn't think that what I was doing was going to like be something that I wanted to continue doing. You know what I mean? Wow. He was like definitely not one of those people that, you know, believe to the fullest, like, oh, like he's gonna, you know, just be a normal person. And then I was like, no, this is not something to play around with. Like it became a huge thing for me. And after that first backflip, that was the deciding factor. After that, that's why I kept training.
That's wild. And just to put it in perspective for our viewers and listeners out there, you started flipping at 17.
Yeah.
How old are you now? So we know how long you've been flipping at this point.
I turned 21 May 1st.
So you've only been flipping for 4 years.
Yeah.
No way. See, I didn't know that. That's the coolest thing about these JAMCasts is like, it's hard to know people's origin stories because all we see is the finished product and what you're doing now. So like, a lot of us just automatically assume like, oh, he's been flipping his whole life or something, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
That's wild, man. And it's safe to say that everything's been pretty much just self-taught from the ground up.
Yeah. I mean, YouTube's been like the hugest help to me in the very beginning, at least. I used to watch all sorts of YouTube videos on like tutorials on how to do like a cork or a backflip or like better set stuff, you know what I mean? Like learning how to do it better. And so that was like my main focus. And then after that, I realized like YouTube isn't going to help me much. I feel like I need to experience this on my own and figure out like what's right for me in my set and stuff like that. So I just experimented and basically the rest was just learning that. Like once I got to standing double full, I was like, there's nothing that can help me at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to find this out on my own. And so experimentation came into play, and then I just stopped watching YouTube videos usually, and I just watched how other people did it and was like, okay, and I can wrap my brain around that, and then I just tried it, basically. That's just how I continued learning after that.
Okay, and now obviously like the majority of your videos are outside on the grass or they're inside of your living room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So where were you training these initial things? Was it always on grass? Did you have access to any pads or any soft surfaces, or was it just a hard learning curve because you were just outside?
I'd say I had like mattresses and stuff. That's probably like the best apparatus that I had.
It's better than a punching bag.
Yeah, to learn. But oftentimes I wasn't able to use that stuff because I had to like basically sneak it outside, you know? Like obviously you can't like my dad did not want that to happen, you know, did not want me to get my stuff messed up. So I like only used it when I was like alone at home or something. And then if I didn't, then I was like, I guess today's just going to be a rough day outside, like training, you know? And oftentimes it was. I would have shin splints for the longest time, and then eventually they went away and I haven't had shin splints in a very long time, thankfully.
Yeah.
But most of it was just hard slams and bruised heels and stuff like that. And even in the living room, like I had to get used to that that ground that I was training on, the impact that I was taking. It was rough. A few times when I was learning how to J-step double cork, I was doing it in my living room too, because winter is like really long in Montana, so that's the whole reason why I started training in my living room. I was
just going to ask if that was why. Okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, so I just trained in there, and I remember learning like a ton of stuff in there, which is so wild. That's why like a lot of people might ask, like, why does he do the same tricks, or why is he always doing standing tricks? And it's because I had that small space to utilize, and that's like why I'm good at those tricks, like, because that's all I trained in there, because it's a small space. Like, what am I going to do? Cart trip in there? No.
Makes a lot of sense, dude. Everything's pretty much environmental based, even back to like martial arts that like predate us. There's like certain martial arts styles like that I know of personally where like in the northern part of China, they were people that had a lot more money. And so they had more room to do stuff. So their form of kung fu is like very long arm movements, very circular, big movements. Yeah. But then southern China was a little more less economically as well off, and it was people like practicing in like rice paddies and stuff. So their system is like very more tight and like closed off. And so obviously environmental base is something that's affected movement for all time. So that makes a lot of sense moving into living room.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the coolest things about our sport, or just any sport in general. You can really see people's background based on, you know, like how they trained in the beginning.
Totally.
Like if you ask them like, oh, how did you start training? And then you can really see that in their future progressions and like how they are presently. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see style based on pre-existing sports or histories like that too. That's crazy. And so I guess one of the things that you're most well known for, and what was crazy for me to find, was Connor, can you try to pull up his first backflip? And I think what's crazy to me about this is that like everyone now associates you with doing these gigantic standing tucks and moves. But your first backflip wasn't, or I guess the one that's on here, at least online, it's not like, is this the first one on camera?
Yeah.
Wow. And then to see the difference is just astronomical, man. It's so crazy to see the clear visual difference. And so like my question to you, I have a bunch of questions that are going to be about your jumping ability, but my biggest question to you here is like, do you think the biggest change came from technique, comfortability with flipping, or gaining strength? What do you credit the change in the difference between those flips for?
So the change, definitely hugely technique. In this, like, I probably could have gotten close to the same height as I do in the first video, if I had the right technique.
Yeah.
And I know this because, I've always had genetically high vertical.
I was going to ask. Okay, cool.
I've like shortly after I learned my backflip, I actually did my first dunk, like on a 10-foot hoop.
No way you dunk. Oh crap. All right. And I used to play basketball, so that's hard to do. I know how hard that is.
Yeah, crazy. As a 5'7" person, like definitely was a challenge, but I made it happen. It was an alley-oop, to be fair, so I can't give myself too much credit, but still.
It's hard to palm the ball.
Yeah, like literally that's the only problem I have. I can't really palm it. I can palm it, and then like it slips out of my hand when I try and run or anything.
Totally.
So, but so hugely technique based for sure, and just understanding like the speed and the timing is like hugely important in vertical jump as well. And I think that just came with time, obviously. You can't like get something perfect right away, but I already had the explosiveness. I just needed to get my setup, basically.
Okay.
Because I was cutting off my set, and on top of cutting off my set, I was throwing my chest back.
I saw that.
And that's instantly, that's like definitely not what you want. In your set for a backflip, you should be like basically completely straight up on the last frame before you take off on the ground. And I've studied my own videos and taken thumbnails from them where I am completely straight up, and it literally looks like I'm just going to jump straight up. but I'm actually doing a backflip. And that's like where it all comes from. And to get the rotation, it's all just like the last minute, you use your hips, snap them forward, and then bring your tuck in super tight. But it's all in trying to get maximum extension from your toes all the way up to your fingertips, basically, and get in that straight line. So. And
how did you start to break down improving your technique? Did you like study other YouTube videos, or were you just like realizing what you were doing wrong yourself? Because like, it's pretty hard to realize that all of those changes with you when you've had no coaching, you know?
Honestly, it did come down to just me understanding how it worked. Because as I was getting better, I noticed like my sets standing up more and more. I was like, okay, like I understand why I'm getting height now. Like it took a little bit, of course, but I figured it out like pretty quickly as soon as I was like fully doing it consistently. Why like your set affects your height and stuff like that. And I stopped using YouTube videos as reference because I honestly, like, I would watch YouTube videos of people doing backflips, and I was like, I don't know, like, a lot of these people don't seem like they have been doing a backflip for that long, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the videos, like, weren't helping me too much because I was already past that point in my progression. So I started really paying attention to how my set was affecting my height and stuff like that, and basically just went off of that. I would be like, try stuff every session. I would just record myself and see like, okay, what am I doing in my set? And then I'm like, okay, let's see if I can tweak it, see what it does to help or detriment what I'm doing. Yeah. So basically that's how I trained, is I just studied really hard on what I was doing, and I noticed what was helping and what wasn't helping. So it's just a bunch of trial and error, basically.
That is wild, man. And so back then, when you're going through this stage of improving your technique and developing your own style, how many days a week were you training, and for what length of time?
At that time, I was definitely training every single day without a break. And it was very rough on my body, but I was able to eventually adapt to it, basically, and recover really quickly because it's just like running a mile every day. You're going to get used to that, and it's going to be easy for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was doing that for a long time and just doing single tricks and stuff like that. Like, I was able to do probably hundreds of backflips a day, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like continuing to do it. And then I would be like, okay, I'm gassed out for this session. I'll wait till tomorrow or wait till later in the day. But yeah, so I trained every single day basically, and it was a rough time in the beginning, but it really paid off, I'd say, towards the end.
And how long do you think it took for you to, essentially, quote unquote, master the backflip? Like, how long do you think it took you from that 17-year-old age to get it to where you're happy with it now?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because even now I'm like working on it.
You think you can improve it more?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
What?
Like, even now. And
what would you do differently?
I'm just trying to figure out how I can be more explosive. Like, I'm already really explosive, but I want to see if I can like take it to the next level and like continue to improve my fast twitch muscles to basically amplify my height, because I want to get higher. Like, I want to get to my head height, and then I'm not too far away, but I want to reach that point, and then I think by then I might be satisfied with the results, because I think that would be truly impressive to see. Yeah. In my eyes, like, to put it into perspective, when I'm having a session and I film clips of backflips, if I post a backflip, that backflip may have taken me like over 10 tries, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
Like, okay. I have really high expectations for my tricks when it comes to tricks that I've been training for a long time. If it's like my first land on a trick, I'm obviously going to post it and be like, wow, like
first double something.
Yeah, like of course. First whatever. Yeah. Like, but when it comes to like tricks that I've been doing for a long time, it takes a lot of filming sometimes, where I'll be spending sometimes hours on just filming the same set of tricks just because I'm not satisfied with this. And sometimes I'll even leave the session with no clips and I'll just be training the tricks because I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting the results I want, but at least I had a training session.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have high expectations for those tricks, like backflip, super high expectations. If I'm not floating down, then it's not going to go in the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, totally. Now, the majority of the clips that I see of you, it's mostly you alone. Do you tend to train in groups or do you train alone? And how are you filming? You have a tripod or how are you getting these clips?
So it might sound weird, but I actually prefer training alone over training with people. I like training with people that are like new. Like when I went to Jam the other night and seshed with Connor and everyone else, it was a good time. I like those sessions because you get new energy.
Of course, yeah.
And when that energy is present, it allows you to push yourself further. And I was really hyped up that session because the energy was really good and everyone was kind of just hyping everyone up, and just positivity basically is all I need.
Totally.
But a lot of the time I just don't. I have a hard time focusing around other people.
I got you.
And if there's like background noise, sometimes it just like ruins it for me. Like I can't focus, and sometimes it even just kills the entire vibe for me at the session. Or if I can tell somebody has like any slight bit of negativity, it kind of just ruins it. You know what I mean?
I feel you on that. Yeah.
So I prefer training alone because if I'm going to get mad about something, I'm not like being detrimental to someone else's session.
Yeah, that's cool.
And on top of that, I don't have to worry about someone else ruining my session, basically. But mostly it just helps me focus to train alone. It allows me to really like open my third eye, so to speak.
Yeah.
I find myself really like getting to this Zen mode when I'm training, where I'm just like, before each set, I'm like really thinking about every little thing, and like my fingers do this. I don't know anyone else who trains. They do a little thing, you know, before they go.
Everyone has a little mannerism.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And for me, like when I'm in that mode where I'm doing that stuff and I'm like doing this and stuff, like that's when my brain is thinking like it's hardest. And if there's too much background noise, I can't get into that mode, you know what I mean?
So do you listen to music or do you train completely in silence?
No, I don't listen to music because...
Dead silence.
Yes.
Wow,
the
hardcore.
Beat distracts me, like usually.
Super hardcore.
I feel like when I'm training with music, this has happened to me so many times, it rushes me.
I feel you. Because sometimes the drop or the beat...
Exactly. Because I feel like when the drop comes, like I need to like throw at that time, and it's not even like for dramatic effect or anything. It literally just feels like, you know, oh, you missed your chance to go. Like,
dude, that's a common thing that happens at open gyms around the world, where people are like, oh, the drop's coming, or like even like as a song's petering out. I know myself, I'll be like, I'm just going to wait for the next song. And like what you've developed is your own style where you're not affected by any of those things, which is cool.
Yeah, I try not to. I don't like being restricted to a single type of training. I notice a lot of people, they listen to music and they'll like have multiple story clips, for example, and it'll be the same song and they'll literally rewind it to the same spot every time. So it's literally like the same exact lyrics in every story. And you're just like, I'm just like, wait, what? and it's so funny because I swear, like, I'm like, oh no, I could not do that, dude. That would be like a whole nother like range of emotions that I would have to go through. It honestly pissed me off just to like scroll back
every time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every single time. Like
it's wasted time too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I feel like too, like if you're gonna go and then you just like miss the beat by like 1 millisecond, you're just like, oh, I can't go
feel
anymore.
off.
You know what I mean? So it's like, why am I going to subject myself to that if that's what's going to distract me? So I just like try not to. Okay. If I'm at a session and there's music playing, it kind of like goes away in my brain. Like I don't notice that there's music playing because I'm hearing like people talk and like I'm listening to what people are saying. So like at sessions, it's different because you have like another energy that just blocks out the noise. You know what I mean? Where it's just like you feel positivity, you hear it from other people, you hear affirmation, you hear people, you know, criticizing in a good way, you know,
of course,
helpful criticism. You're just kind of like there for the vibe and you're trying to listen to what people say and trying to just be a family essentially at the gathering or at a session or whatever. So I feel like the noise just goes out the window for me when I'm at like a session or a gathering.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's why I like the new energy is like when you surround yourself with people that you're not constantly around, it just like, it has only benefited me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few sessions where I'll be around people and I'm like, oh, I didn't know they were like that, you know what I mean? But not every single person is going to be perfect. So we're all human, you know?
Dude, that's super crazy. It's just cool to hear different people's training mindsets. And obviously yours is completely influenced by the fact that you have pretty much solo sessioned the majority of your flipping lifetime. So yeah, it makes sense that that's what you're most comfortable with.
And that's why like I basically helped birth the community is like I had no one else to train with in the beginning. And then I was just like picking up people along the way, you know,
Dope.
People who wanted to be interested in what I was doing. And then we birthed something and now I have people to train with. But
if you want to.
Yeah, if I want to. But I find myself having more sessions alone than I do with other people, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's just if I want to focus on my session and I want to get some good clips, then oftentimes I'll be like, I want to learn something new. Yeah, I'm going to be myself. If I'm doing it with other people, I'm like, oh yeah, let's mess around. Let's make some cool content together. You know, I like collaboration stuff. So
yeah, no, I feel you on that. I'm kind of, and I have to agree with you. There's like tricking. I've always been like a group sport, but like for parkour, sometimes I enjoy the solo sessions because sometimes when you're at a spot, you kind of get like baited into doing what everyone's doing. They're like, yo, come hit this mission. I'm like, that's not my goal today. Yeah, like my goal is to do something else. So like a lot of times I just break off even in group situations, you know?
Exactly. So it really does help you keep focused on a goal too.
Yeah, 100.
Like my first standing double backflip attempts, like a long time ago, I was alone on like almost all of them. And because I really needed that extra level of focus, regardless of how dangerous it was, I needed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if somebody else was there and they were just like constantly saying, you got this, like that really like I have to reset a lot of the time when I hear that.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it's like fine, but as long as the positive vibes are flowing, you know what I mean? But if you're just there to watch me, then I feel like a zoo animal, you know what I mean?
yeah. Like, do a trick, Aspen.
Yeah. So it's like, I need to focus.
Yeah, totally. That's dope, man. Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense now. Like, I just had to ask that because I noticed the majority of videos were solo. And so you kind of alluded to it earlier. You said that you were kind of genetically gifted with jumping.
Yeah.
Do you do any cross training or any skills in order to increase your jump? Because I feel like that's something a lot of people are curious about because they want to gain your ability to jump that high, you know?
Yeah, I feel like for me personally, I didn't really need too much cross training. I still want to do it more because I feel like that's going to be the key to getting more height for me is I'm going to really need to look for other methods other than just doing backflips repeatedly. You know what I mean?
You have to increase some element.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to need to find some way to increase it throughout a different method rather than just spamming the trick itself. For other people, I'd say that they should equally spam the trick as well as like put in the extra work needed to get the height, because not everyone has like when you're at a genetic disadvantage, it's so much harder. And I feel for those people truly because, like, for example, I'm short. So it's like basketball was rough for me, but I loved basketball. You know what I mean?
Same, dog.
and that's just something I couldn't control, but I had the hops. You know what I mean? So like there was a strength there. But I feel like other people, they feel hopeless when it comes to like getting height and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really not the case. Like you can definitely grind it out, but you're going to put in like 20 times more work than I had to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be like a lot harder for you, but you can do it. You just have to like, you have to be serious about it, and you have to really optimize your training towards that goal.
Yes.
And make sure that you're not straying from that, basically.
Totally.
Because if you get distracted with the wrong stuff, or if you're just not focused, and that's just telling yourself like, no, this is not what you want. But people say they want it all the time, but they're not willing to put in that extra mile of work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm still working on getting out of my comfort zone, like doing combos and stuff. That stuff's like really difficult for me to connect sometimes. And I'm trying to train it, but oftentimes I find myself bullshitting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is like not what I want to do. And that's fine. But if you truly want something, you actually have to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I find myself, I always say, yeah, I can't do combos though. So like, what's the point of doing single tricks? It's like, come on, Aspen, go do combos then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you have to really take accountability for your actions, or else you're not going to progress.
Yeah, 100. Now, with being known for doing such high standing backflips, do you feel any inherent pressure to go for standing double back? And is that something that's on your list? Because I've seen you do a couple attempts indoors and stuff. Obviously, I remember the clip inside your living room you've gone for.
Yeah.
Is that something that plays on you, knowing that a lot of people are like, oh, this guy has one of the highest backflips in the world. Why isn't he doing standing double?
Yep. So that's something that's rested on my shoulders basically ever since I started doing them. Even before that, like people were telling me to do it. And so it's just been years of basically nagging about it. Like I've been nagged about it so much, and almost every single video, even if I don't do a backflip in the video, people will like say it.
Yeah,
and
I feel you.
And I actually like, I would say like about a month ago, I had this like mental breakdown where I was just freaking out about social media and its influence on my life and stuff like that. And one of the biggest factors was people telling me what I should do, or like what they wanted me to do. And like that really affected me negatively. And I just thought about it like, why don't I just post what I want to post whenever I want to post, and just block out all the outside noise or anything like that? So I started doing that. I literally turned off comments for like a couple videos, and I was like, okay, now my brain's at where it needs to be. And but literally it has such a huge influence on like how I trained in the past. I would say I was still figuring out who I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
In a constant state of growth, Sapling Gang.
Yes.
But yeah, so I was literally still learning what I wanted, even in the tricking community. People were pressuring me to do stuff constantly, and that's like probably the only reason why I started doing standing double back, is because other people were saying that I could.
Of course.
And even then, I was definitely not ready. You know what I mean? Even now, I'm not ready. I need extra training.
Dude, after now knowing that you've only been flipping for 4 years, I don't think you're ready to do it either. Like, yeah. Like from a personal perspective, I think that this interview may be good for a lot of people, because I assumed you've been flipping way longer. You know, a lot of the other guys that have done standing double back, they've probably been in the game for 10 years, except for maybe Lub, who's like a teenager.
Yeah.
But even still, he's been in traditional competitive gymnastics with a coach for probably more than half his life. So looking at that, dude, screw the community, dog.
Exactly.
Go at your own pace, bro. Yeah, don't kill yourself over them, you know?
Yeah, that's what I've been teaching myself most recently, is just like, who cares what anyone says? It's all about my own perception of what I should be doing. And I'm really glad that I didn't get pressured to do standing dub back like in my current state, especially recovering from a surgery. Literally, like if I actually got pressured to do that, I guarantee you I'd be set back like probably 2 years.
Oh yeah, you'd make a huge mistake for nothing.
It would be bad, yeah. And the thing with standing dub back is it's a lot more than just height. And a lot of people think like you have height, you got it. It's so much more than that.
It's tons of things.
People don't even realize how hard it is actually. And people they seemingly underestimate how hard the trick is.
Yeah.
In my comment section, it's crazy. People say, you got this easy, like you should just send it. And I have to constantly remind people, listen, I'm only 7 months out of my surgery.
Yeah, dude, chill. Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm already doing stuff that I probably shouldn't do. And I'm comfortable with those things though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But standing dub back's just a beast. It's like I need to do standing triple back on trampoline before I do standing dub back.
I got
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
just get that.
That's like how I gauge it is I don't have the rotation. Like I've tried it in the past and my rotation just doesn't work. I've tried dub back. I haven't landed a single dub back on floor, like on flat, like even at a round off.
Okay.
And that's mostly because I can't run into my setups, which sounds so stupid, but that's just how it is. Like that goes back into my background.
Your stationary training, baby.
Yes,
yeah,
stationary training.
Totally.
I would do round offs in my living room, but I wouldn't have a run up.
Yeah.
So now when I run into my round off, it just ruins
Feels
it.
weird.
Yeah. And it's funny.
Dude.
It's really hilarious, but there's weaknesses to my training, and that's what I'm trying to get out of now, you know what I mean?
Don't feel bad. One of my best friends is Ben Jenkin. He was the first guy to do a one-step wall double backflip outside.
Oh my god.
But you know what's funny is he is better at doing like a standing double backflip attempt than his round off. Whenever he does round off double back, they're so low, and I used to always make fun of him. Like, dude, it's not even worth it. Like, stop round offing, you know? So like, you're not alone. You're definitely not alone.
Yeah.
And so you kind of just mentioned it too. One of the things that you've been dealing with is a surgery that you just had 7 months ago. And what exactly happened? Because I feel like I watched a bunch of training clips where you had a surgery date, but you were still training hard. So what was the injury and how were you able to keep training on it?
I tore my ACL and meniscus, and it was a complete tear of my ACL, and a lot of people still don't think that is my right leg.
Wow, okay.
Thankfully. If it was my left leg, it would be a different story for sure, because I twist left, so my left leg's going to land
and
first.
Your J-steps left.
Yeah. The reason why I was able to continue training, I didn't have too much hope for myself that year. It was actually probably one of the darkest years of my life where I was having to discover myself in a whole different way.
Yeah.
And even after that, once I got surgery, I discovered myself even more after that. But before I got surgery, I'll tell you, I was in a really dark state of mind, and I don't know how I got through it, because many times I was just completely depressed. Even though I was training still, it was just something that was in the back of my head, like, I'm never going to get fixed. Like, this is going to be the end of my, passion, basically. And I just thought, I wouldn't get the money to do it. And then I found out I had insurance. And that's the only reason why I got surgery, or else I'd still be broken, and I'd still be training broken, you know?
Damn, that's crazy. And do you mind me asking how you heard it?
Yeah, so I did J-step cork snapu.
Okay.
And I had done it before. I've landed it probably 5 times total. And I was like, oh yeah, this will just be a cool clip to have, just, it wasn't a hard trick for me.
Yeah.
It was just a trick that I didn't like doing. And I was doing J-step cork D-leg twist and just double cork variations. And I was going to do some standing double full variations too. And I basically just had a bad set, and I failed that first one of J-step cork snapu, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll try it again. And I was just having a bad set that day for that trick specifically. And so I just threw my body back, and I ended up on this crazy weird axis, and I landed on my right leg, at this angle, basically.
Yeah, weird angle.
And so all my weight was on my right leg, and my knee joint just did that, basically. And I felt it. It was the most painful thing in my life, I'll tell you what.
Yep.
It was
Damn.
very horrible, very bad pain. Instantaneously, I knew something was wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You land and it's just like your whole body goes into shock and you're just like, that's how it was for me.
I've had double knee and a shoulder surgery, so I know.
Oh,
when you land and you're like, damn it, that was different.
Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly how it felt.
Your body tells you like something is injured. Yeah. That's
And
crazy.
After I heard it the first time, it was about a month before I started training again. And I was just doing, easy stuff. And then like a few weeks later, I was basically back to normal. And I did my first dub swing dub with a torn ACL.
Wow, because it was your other leg that was good. Holy crap.
At Neo 7.
Neo 7, no way.
And I did 9 of them, and I was fine. I was going to attempt standing dub, swing dub too, but then I was like, nah, I'm probably pushing it at that point.
Don't get greedy.
Yeah. I was like, I'm about to ruin this trip for myself if I try that.
Damn.
But so, even though I was training and having fun, I was really just not having fun at the same time,
Yeah, I think one of the craziest clips to me that I saw was not only you like flipping around with a knee brace on while your knee's obviously torn, but the clip of you in the hospital is one of the funniest things of all time, which is basically right before your surgery, your doctor told you to go change into your gown, and you got one last clip off, right?
Yeah.
There it is right here. Did they hear you? Did they hear the landing? I was curious.
The angle wasn't the best, but I literally, what's funny about that clip? I think it took like 2 tries. I got one clip and I was like, that was bad. And then I did another one after that.
My man's like, well, it's already torn. I'm about to get fixed. Let's just send it.
Yeah, it was such a scary place to do it too.
Yeah, it's a small confined space.
One of the smallest spaces I've done a backflip. But
oh, dude.
Yeah, I was like, I need this clip, dude. Like, I just need it. It would be so legendary. I doubt anyone's done a backflip in here. I was like, I'm about to get surgery. I got to do it.
It's definitely the first I've ever seen. You see the stereotypical like graduation backflips and things like that. I've never seen a pre-surgery in the gown backflip, dude.
Yeah, literally, it's kind of funny because I was like, I didn't do a backflip today. And I haven't done a single flip today. And I was like, this is the last one.
Yep,
this is my last chance before the doctor comes in. I was like, he better not open the door while I'm doing the backflip. But I literally because the door's right there,
Boom, and it just hits you in midair.
I was like, this is my last chance, dude. So I sent it. I got it on video, and I was like, this is going to Instagram for sure.
Dude, genius, man. Genius.
Yeah, it was so funny. I'm like out of the frame in most of the clip, but I was like, listen, that's the best I could do. There's no way I can set up a better angle.
This is before the 0.5 existed on the cameras, right? Yeah, because now you can do 0.5. It would have fit perfectly.
Yeah, I don't even have an iPhone 11 now, but man, I wish I did, dude. Like at that time, that would have been perfect.
Heck yeah.
Ugh.
And so right now you're like 7 months removed from surgery. How long was it until you like start throwing your first flips and feeling comfortable? Because, dude, you're. I mean, I've seen the clips of you at Jam this week and the stuff at Tempest, and like you're ripping dubs, and obviously it was your other leg that was injured, but there's still an inherent sense of fear having to land,
Yeah, I'd say double cork is sometimes feels risky, I had a clip yesterday from Tempest. I posted it last night. And I accidentally did a double cork, but I'll tell you, when I was in the air, I was like, I'm going to screw up my knee in this trick. Like, I literally felt sketched about it, and I landed fine. And I was like, oh, that's relief.
Thank goodness. But, dude, I know how that goes, bro.
Like, I sent it, and it was meant to be a cork, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I had enough height, and it was a double cork. And I didn't mean to do it. Like, I literally, pulled, and then I was like, oh crap, like this is too much, you know what I mean?
So you just finished the crank.
I just cranked it, and then it worked. But so my first tricks started 3 months after surgery.
Wow, that's quick.
But I wasn't doing anything double leg impact. Like no 2 legs were hitting the ground, and no 2 legs were taking off. Okay. So I was just doing J-step cork and standing gainer switch.
Nice. And
stuff like that, just simple stuff basically that I didn't want to get any riskier than that. And then say like probably a few weeks later, I was doing like backflips like off of 2 legs, but I was landing on 1 leg.
Yeah, putting all the weight on one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And full stuff like that. And then for some reason out of nowhere, like I was like, okay, it's fine to like try a standing dub and stuff like that. And then I did standing dub and I landed on 1 leg and I was like, perfect. And I kept doing them after that, and it was always sketch, but I was doing them anyway because I was like, I got this. I can do this. And it wasn't even like pressure from social media or anything at that point. It was just me being stupid and going like, oh yeah, this trick is still easy for me. I can do it. And so I did it. But yeah, and then after that, kind of just like, okay, I think the next step is double cork, which cork snapu was the bane, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, this one might be different. Like, I was scared. I was definitely terrified, and it took like a few tries before I was comfortable. I think I sent it, and then I had like a safety bail.
Yeah, of course.
And
the
I
first
was like,
timer one.
Yeah, and I still landed like hands and feet, and I was like, oh yeah, I got this easy. And then I landed my next one. But it was like, I had to get past that mental barrier because I was scared of the impact, basically.
Yeah.
I was scared of like my legs coming down and just like hitting the ground really hard.
Totally, yeah.
And that ended up not being a problem because I took most of the impact with my left leg first.
Of course, because you're used to swinging, yeah.
Yeah, I've never swung double cork, but I just always land that way. So it's like convenient. Yeah, and I'm like, yes, thank God I can do this. And then I started doing more stuff. And my first dubs since Neo 7, which was almost exactly a year ago, were at Jam.
Yes.
And so far I've attempted 3 and I've landed 3.
No way.
So I have 100% consistency so far. And I hope to take that to Montana.
Yes, right? Go back home and still got it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I landed my first standing full D-leg twist since before surgery at Jam.
I saw that clip. It was fire.
And I feel happy where I'm at right now, but I'm trying not to spoil it for myself by hurting myself.
Don't get greedy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's been crazy to watch your recovery because Bailey Payne is maybe like a couple months behind yours.
Yeah.
Like maybe like a month or 2, but like I was there for his first double cork, and I was the one that was like, don't do it. Don't do it. He's like, dude, I'm fine. I'm like, I don't want to film this. Like, I don't want to be here, you know? And he smashed it with no problems. Yeah. But like half of it is mental. Definitely mental.
For sure. Especially with him, like take off leg and landing leg.
Yeah, because his was his left. So
bad knee. So that's sketch. That would be a different story for me probably.
Yeah. When the other day he did 6 swing through corks. Yeah. And I was like, dude, are you good?
He's
just like,
recently
I'm good.
Did dub back and round off trip.
Yeah. Oh, he's crazy.
Which is insane.
He's nuts, dude. He's absolutely insane. Yeah. He's absolutely insane. He's a nut, dude. Yeah, he's a nutter, dude. But we're all a little crazy in this sport, you know? It's a little controlled craziness, I feel like, for all of us.
Completely, yeah.
And so this is a question that I just had, and maybe you don't have an answer for it, but personally, a lot of people watched that video you put out at Jam. They saw the standing double full, like the dub 3 combo, and then in that same clip, you had the standing double leg gyro or the double leg full. What in your mind is your hardest variation?
For standing tricks?
Yeah.
So I've done an easy answer to this is I've only landed 3 standing dub variations.
Okay.
And standing full snapu was the hardest one for me personally.
Wow. Okay.
Because my body just doesn't like snapu when I'm at that angle, I guess, like when I'm setting the way that I do on a standing full or a scoot full, for example.
Yeah.
But if I do cart full snapu, it's a completely different story, super easy trick. But as soon as I'm like on that different axis for standing or like scoot, for example, you end up on the same plane of takeoff.
Yeah.
It just ruins it for me. But standing full D-leg twist like clicked with my brain. It took like probably a year to get it.
Okay.
Where I was just spamming them and not landing them, but getting really close.
Yeah,
and then like I finally landed it. And then after that, I had them pretty consistent.
Okay.
And then I like lost them due to the injury, and then I got them again, and then I lost them due to surgery, and now I have them again. But yeah, that one just works. And then the other one I've done is like, people call it standing full skull snapper, but in reality, like I just think of it as you do a standing full, and then right where you would do with a D leg, you just grab your legs for a tuck,
just
and then
ball
you
up.
and then you untuck and twist the rest of the dub. And that one's like a little bit harder than standing full D leg twist for me personally, but it's only hard because you have to fit in the tuck, and that's like way more difficult than having your legs straight for a D leg. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So
you twist faster in a line, you know?
Yeah, it's mostly just like getting your hands to grab your knees, and then like, because you have to get into that ball shape, and then you have to unball up and then twist.
Crazy.
That's like harder, but not as hard as full snapu for me, which is funny, but yeah.
Crazy. And are there any dream tricks on your list? Not to add pressure, and here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you don't want to answer this publicly so people call you out on it, you can politely decline answering the question. But I was just curious, is there anything on your own personal list that you're really after? Obviously, the community wants you to do standing double back, but is there anything personally that you're trying to challenge yourself?
Definitely. I don't plan on getting these tricks anytime soon because I'm just working within my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But the reason why everyone's seeing the same tricks, like for the most part, on most posts is because I'm preparing myself for bigger tricks once I'm ready. Like, I'm literally spamming them so that my body can one-shot the next level trick. You know what I mean?
Got it. Building up.
So in the future, I'm going to go for triple cork and cart trip and scoot trip. It's just funny, actually. Scoot trip full and scoot trip cork.
Okay.
Because that's just my most powerful setup for both of those tricks.
Totally. It gets you into standing position with a little momentum.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I also plan on hopefully getting a full in from either scoot or cart or something like that. Wow. I think scoot full in is probably going to be my first one.
Wow, that'll be dope.
Scoot
it's
is
a rare
just
one. That's a rare one.
Like a good setup for me.
It's my worst setup, dog. It's my worst setup.
A lot of people will be like, yo, scoot's a crazy setup for like any trick. And it's like, it's just the setup I've trained the most compared to other setups. You know what I mean? Other than standing. Yeah. So it's like, it's going to be my power setup. And people will always say, well, why not master scoot? And it's like, master scoot is literally completely different.
I don't like master scoot. I hate master scoot,
it's
bro.
so different from scoot. But I think master scoot trip cork will be, if I get scoot trip cork, I feel like master scoot trip cork will be easy.
Yeah,
you know
probably.
I mean? And I do get more power at a master scoot, but it's like a million times harder to tame. I would say, like, to get control over that trick compared to just a simple scoot, because you have to do a cartwheel into master scoot. Well, I do at
momentum
least.
Builder, yeah.
Because it's the only way you're gonna get a good master scoot. But I personally feel like master scoot's just a million times harder. For sure, to just like control that power, because you get mega momentum, but to transfer that into a perfect block to get good height and to get good flip and get good twist all at the same time, that's like a whole different beast. You're probably going to fly out of control.
I don't know how Tim Farley used it to do snatch cannon. Like, it's so crazy.
It makes perfect sense in my brain, but it just like the amount of work that went into that is like mind-boggling. It's the same, like you could compare it to, you know, how people were so impressed about standing backflip height.
Yeah.
Like just think about that same amount of training for master scoot.
Totally.
Like, just a setup though, not even adding tricks to it, just the setup itself, and then adding tricks to it double that time. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like it takes time, people.
Yeah, it takes time, y'all.
It really does.
Hell yeah.
This didn't happen in a day.
Yeah, 100, man. And so now that we kind of know the tricks that are on your mind, this is a question I always ask people before we get out of here, which is, and it doesn't have to be trick related. It could be life related or it could be trick related. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Oh, that's tough. That is really tough.
That's a common answer as well.
Yeah. That's probably like one of the hardest questions for me to answer because I just like to think of being present, in the moment. I just try and think like, how can I make myself feel better right now?
Totally.
I like to have goals, but I also like to keep it spontaneous, I'd say.
I feel you.
I think it's unrealistic for me to set a goal for myself 5 years into the future or 10 years in the future. I think of it like I need to set goals for myself in the present and so that I can, reach that futuristic version of myself. I don't know where it's going to be or where I'm going to be or anything like that. I hope to be here. I can say that I hope to be places.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, totally. That
I
makes
hope
sense.
to be here, but this is just my current version of myself is the thing.
And it could
You know what I
change.
mean?
It could evolve.
Like
yeah.
it could change tomorrow.
Totally.
And that's what I mean like about that is I feel like it's unrealistic to have that long time frame to like set a goal because like I don't know what I want, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I only know what I want in the moment. So I'd say I hope to be here. And if I'm not here, I hope to be traveling somewhere that makes me feel fulfilled in the moment. And I hope to continue inspiring people, and I hope to not be a bad person.
Hell yeah, dude.
I don't think I'm going to be a bad person because I feel like at this point I know how to not be a bad person. But things change, I hope to be a better version of myself, and I hope to be constantly improving, and I hope to continue chasing after my aspirations and not give up because I feel like a lot of people, in that time, 5 to 10 years from now, when they're my age, I feel like they've already given up on all that.
I agree.
So
they start to find a safe plan.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with not having a safe plan, like you said, and I'm going to continue grinding out everything that I want to accomplish in the moment. So
hell yeah, man. Well, that was a super solid answer. Honestly, I've been surprised by a lot of our interview. And for those that don't know, this is the first time we've ever met in person. So like, this is a really cool conversation to have for the first time with somebody, like learning so much about them and their past. And dude, I really respect your viewpoint on a lot of things. And I appreciate you opening up about a lot of the mental health stuff and just where you're at in your own personal journey. I think it'll help a lot of our younger viewers and listeners more than you imagine.
For sure. That's the goal. I want my life to be a reference material to help other people be better. I just want every one of you, I want everyone to, reach their full potential in life, and I don't want you to give up on anything. I just want you to chase after anything that you could possibly see as unimaginable, because as soon as you do it, you're gonna be surprised. So just keep doing it, because I trust me, I never thought I'd be sitting here right now, you know what I mean? I never thought I would be doing anything I'm doing today. So surprise yourself. Prove yourself wrong.
Hell yeah. Dude, yeah. I don't think there's any better way to end this on than that, dude. That was like a mic drop moment. So, dude, with that being said, bro, can you just look at that camera again and just let people know where they can stay up to date with following you and stay up to date with your journey? Yeah,
so I mostly post on Instagram. I have TikTok, and I'm trying to get better at posting on there. I actually am posting pretty consistently on there. My Instagram is Aspen Tree, and it has an underscore at the beginning. And my TikTok is Sapling Boy with an I and not a Y.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, and I want to start posting on YouTube, but I can't say that I'm going to be consistent, so I'm not even going to say that. But thank you anyway.
Hell yeah. Well, guys, thank you as always. Please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Aspen Tree himself. So as always, guys, I got to give a very special shout out to Mr. Connor Simon for running the cameras in the Switcher app. Got to give a very special shout out to our guest this week, Mr. Aspen Edelen, aka Aspen Tree. And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.